Hi, welcome to my channel. I am Ilsa, and I gonna share with you guys a story of mine that happened to me 4 years ago in 2016, and it was really hard for me to go through. I did not expect this to happen with my first pregnancy, and I don't think nobody did. So it wasn't anything that I could um, I guess, prevent from happening. As the doctor says, they just say that it's very unlikely for it to ever happen again. But I just want to share this story with you guys, and I hope that anyone who listens to this can feel like there's hope for you, or just like feel some kind of comfort in knowing that you're not alone in this, and that you're not the only one who's gone through this, and um, just share the story because I feel like it's something that really impacted me and that I feel like people can learn from. So if you guys like this video, give it a like. If not, then you guys won't, and you guys won't even watch this video, and that's okay. But I just want to share this video because I want to, and um, I hope you guys like it, and I hope you guys can learn something from it. So, uh, in 2016, me and my husband moved from a different town, and we went back to my hometown where my family lives, and we got pregnant in the fall of 2016, and I was really excited. He was excited. He was working all the time. I stayed at home. I did not work. I thought, since I didn't have a job at the time, I wasn't going to go look for one because it was going to be a lot of stress, and I just thought, let's have a stress-free pregnancy. And so the first thing I was going to do was go look for a doctor. Called all these numbers that I saw, and since I had government insurance, it was hard for me to find any doctor. No one wanted to take me in, and that made me angry because I was like, that's not fair. Because I said, well, what's going to happen if, I have a high risk pregnancy, which at the moment I did not know what was going to happen, but that was just the possibilities of it happening. I mean, it might be a possibility. So I came to all these dead ends. So I went to a clinic where they accepted government insurance or out of pocket. You pay out of your pocket, and they don't bill you as high as um, private offices. So I went there once I was 11 weeks pregnant, and they did an ultrasound because they thought I was further along. Don't know why. And they did the blood work and urine samples, whatever. And it was very nauseous that day because I had a lot of morning sickness throughout all day and would never stop puking. It was horrible. I had lost weight from just puking everything that I ate. And so we did that. And I went home the next day. They gave me a call, and so I answered. And they told me to get there as soon as possible because they had some important information. Okay, so my husband was working 30 minutes away. He couldn't get to me. My sister didn't have a car at the time, so she couldn't take me. So I called my mom as soon as I could because I knew she was going to go to sleep because she works third shift, so she sleeps during the day. Called her. She answered, thankfully, was able to take me. And as soon as she got there, I was nervous. We went to the clinic, and we were waiting, and it felt like, I think we were there probably an hour to an hour and a half waiting. And the waiting room was like empty. So when they finally called me in, me and my mom had no idea what was going to happen, what they were going to tell me, because only one day had passed. They weren't going to have any results from the blood work. The only results they were going to have are from the ultrasound. So the nurse practitioner comes in, and she seems a little nervous, And I have no idea what to expect at that time. At that moment, I was just hoping. I didn't know what to expect. So, so she explains to me that she saw the ultrasound and spoke with uh, the sonographer and I guess other doctors, and they saw that my baby had fetal hydrops with hygromas. And I was like, okay. And obviously, I had never heard of that, so I was just like, I did not react yet. Um, and she was like, well, what that means is that um, there's this liquid lymph that's accumulating in other parts of your baby's body. It's supposed to go to their heart, but instead of going there, it's going to its lungs, kidneys. It's accumulating in its head, and um, she was able to find out, I guess, that same day that she also had Turner syndrome. So it was a girl, and she was never going to be able to have babies if she were to even be born. But that was not likely because she said that my baby was going to die within weeks or even days because with a baby with her condition does not live or survive this. So as soon as she explained that and it hit me, I thought I just started crying, and my mom was trying to be strong, but I couldn't stop crying. It was uncontrollable, and uh, she when I finally calmed down, she just said to cancel my next appointment for another date, and I left, left that room and went to the front desk. I have no idea why she had me do this because I was already a mess, and so I went to the front desk and told the lady that I had to cancel my next appointment. And so for some reason she could not understand that. And she was like, well, your appointment is this day. You have to come. And I'm like, well, no, because I just got the news that my baby's gonna die. And so I started crying again. And she finally reacted and was like, OMG, yes, I know, okay. And so she takes the paper away from me and gives me another appointment, and was like, okay, I'm sorry. And then my mom was gone. She left, and I was like, where the heck is she? And looking around, and I just realized that she's in her car, and I walk out of there crying. The waiting room was full again, and people were just staring at me. And at that moment, I didn't care who heard me because no one was feeling what I was feeling. No one could understand what I was going through. So I did not care what people were thinking. And as soon as I go into the car, I tell my mom nothing, actually. She told me that everything was going to be okay, that I did not have to worry, that I had to have faith in God because there's nothing impossible for Him. And inside, in that moment, all I could think was, how can you be telling me this? You just heard what they said. There's nothing that can be done. And I'm angry that you're saying this to me because why is this happening to me? This did not happen to my sisters. This has not happened to anyone else I know. Why is it happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? I just wanted to have a child with my husband, who I love, and whether we were just not we just moved and we were just trying to get not very stable at the moment, I was happy knowing that I was gonna have a baby, and for that news to come to me broke me in so many ways. My I guess my mental health was just after that, I was depressed. I had so much anxiety. I was sad. And it was crazy because like knowing that I had a baby that was living inside of me still at that moment, but knowing that their life was going to come to an end was too hard for me to understand and was too hard for me to think about. But I knew was going to happen and I didn't want to accept it. So I was angry, I was upset, and I spent days crying, screaming, and praying and asking, why did this have to happen to me when I didn't do anything to deserve this? I thought that this shouldn't happen to someone like me, and I would beg for it to change, for her to be healed so she could have a normal life, so she could be born because I loved her so much. And it was hard for me, but it took a few weeks. I mean, she lived another 10 weeks after that. She lived another 10 weeks, and which is amazing because that's not something with her condition that was so advanced, because she had so much of that liquid that was just accumulating in her body. I mean, it was growing, like it was just every appointment I was asking if it gotten better. There was no proof, like improvement. It was worsening. It was more liquid. Her her lungs were just accumulating, like with was accumulating that liquid. Her head around there was getting full of that liquid, so she wasn't looking like any normal baby, and had to come to the like just finally accept that what happened was gonna happen, but I was gonna try to live these moments to the fullest, enjoying every moment because I could feel every kick that she would, I mean, like every of her kicks, all of her kicks, I would always feel them. If I would sing, she would kick. I could tell when I would be sad, she'd feel sad. I could feel when she was happy. And it was amazing because it was a human inside of me who I had never met outside of my body, but yeah, I knew her already, and I could tell she was such a sweet baby. And we named her Aaliyah, because it seemed to fit her, and it seemed to fit the situation as well. Eliana means my Lord answered. Aliyah means from heaven. So my Lord answered from heaven. And at the end, I asked God in so many prayers of mine to answer, because I wanted to know what was going to happen, whether she was going to die or was she going to be healed. And because I believed that she could be healed, because I believe that there's nothing impossible for God. But I had to come to understand that it was going to be in His hands, and not it was there was nothing I could do, there was nothing the doctors could do, and the doctors said it themselves that they can't do nothing. There's nothing that can be done unless the baby was born, let's say, more than 21 weeks, and there's some way that they can induce a labor or like extract the baby and do some surgery. But I didn't want my baby to ever suffer her whole life, and to live a miserable life because of my selfishness either. So I I knew that I had to put everything in God's hands, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen because He allowed it to happen. And on December 28th of that year, 2016, we went to a doctor's appointment. I was weighed, blood pressure checked, temperature checked, and then we were going to listen to the heartbeat. And as soon as the doctor checked for her heartbeat, a few moments went by, and her face changed, like from happy to concerned, and said that she couldn't hear the heartbeat. And this was a good like OB, like she was a good, yeah, OBGYN. She was a good one. And so as soon as she couldn't hear the baby's heartbeat, I knew that there was something wrong. The night before this appointment, I could not sleep. I felt like a something was just not letting me sleep. I was feeling a lot of anxiety. Um, I did not know why. It was like if it was weird. I could not explain it, but it felt like just something was not letting me go to sleep, and I needed to go to sleep because I was tired. I knew I had an appointment the next morning, and I was not good with waking up in the morning. So I asked God to give me peace, and I was like, please, 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 just give me peace because I just want to go to sleep. I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I have no idea because I knew it was another appointment. And earlier that day, I had this verse just coming in my head. And I was like, what verse is that of the Bible? And then I finally looked it up and I finally saw it was Joshua 1:9. And it says, do not be afraid, for I will be with you no matter where you go. I will be with you. And and so the next day, that day when I had the appointment on December 28th, I was nervous after she said she couldn't hear the heartbeat. So then we were going to do an ultrasound to see if the baby's heartbeat was, beating. So I, did not think of anything at that moment. I was just reciting that verse in my head, trying to be as calm as I could. My husband was there, thankfully, and he was telling me to wake her up because she would sleep certain, like when I'd be moving, she'd like fall asleep. And so, and I was just like, don't, just just don't say anything right now. And the doctor comes back and she's like, what are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. The nurses were supposed to come for me, take me to the sonographer. And so she tells them she needs to be there now. What are you guys doing? So they take me to the room to get an ultrasound. And as soon as the sonographer puts the jelly and gets the stick to take pictures of or just look in there, uh, we look at the baby. The manager of the clinic is there. The sonographer's there. My husband's sitting in the corner, and I see the baby's heart. And when I saw it, it wasn't beating, and I knew right then what we had to do because they explained this to me. If this was to happen, I was gonna get induced that same day and have the baby naturally. So I had the manager called my mom. Then I had explained to my mom what was going to happen. I went to the hospital across the street, went to floor 3, explained to them what happened, that I just came from this clinic. My baby's heartbeat isn't beating, and that I have to be induced. So they admitted me. I gave them all my information. They gave me whatever, I don't even remember anymore, to induce me. I don't know if it was pills. I feel like it might have been, but I do not remember. I do not remember nothing of how I was induced. I just remember that I started to feel uncomfortable, and then finally I had my baby at 10. And there's some funny stories within this horrible experience, but I did get the epidural, and I had these other medications to take away the pain, and those made me a little loopy and very how do you say, open about like they'd ask me a question, like a normal question, and I would give them like a whole detailed sentence about a yes or no question. Yeah, it was crazy. But when she was born, the nurse practitioner and the nurse's face like turned, like they did not expect the baby to look the way she looked. But I had already searched up this whole like babies of with fetal hydrops, and I already knew what to expect. Um, and they did not want to get rid of me because they were scared that I was probably gonna freak out because she did not look like any normal baby. And I said, no, give her to me. It's fine. I told them it's fine. I understand. Like I know what to expect. And my husband seemed worried because he didn't know what to expect. He didn't know. And I remember seeing this one facial feature of hers that will always stand out was she had the smallest nose. This cute little button nose. It was adorable. And in that time, in that moment, I felt peace. And I'm gonna say that the drugs that they had given me helped in that moment, because if I wouldn't have had any of those, I probably would have been crying and sobbing. And like the next day, that's how I felt. I just wanted to cry and scream, but I was trying to be tough, and I was not wanting to scream and cry because I knew that she wasn't suffering. So I was trying not to be selfish. I was just trying to think about that. I was like, if I think about that, that's that's all that matters. I know that I later on started like feeling more emotional, more mourning for her, but it was something that I understood that it was best that she did not suffer and that she's not suffering. And the nurses from the hospital were the nicest nurses, and I was so blessed because I know that in that hospital there's been people who've had really bad experiences with nurses because either they had a bad day and they had a bad experience with those nurses, or I don't know, it's weird. But the nurse there was really nice, even though I was probably really mean to her. Because I was pretty mean, but they were understanding because of my situation, and they knew what was going on. But she got a camera, and I don't know if all these nurses do that, but she got a camera, and she started taking pictures. And this is one of the pictures that I love, is of me and my husband. Yeah. And then this was her little hand. They're all in black and white. She said she liked them better in black and white. I wouldn't have minded them to be in color, but it's whatever. Whatever. Okay. These are her feet. Her little feet. So they make a box for all these mothers who lose babies. It's a pretty cute box, like this. I think it's pretty nice because, she weighed 1 pound, 8 ounces. She was 8 inches long. And my mom, before she knew, what happened, like what was going to happen, she bought her this little outfit. It was so cute. Adorable. And this nurse was exhausted because she was writing a letter to us. She wrote a letter to us, and there's some things that don't make sense, but she said, what did it say? She said, our thoughts are with you. Blessed us, witness your precious angel. You all will be in my thoughts. And her name was Emily, registered nurse. She was really nice. A really good nurse. And the day nurses were really nice as well. One was learning and she's made a few mistakes, but I did not care at that moment because there were other things more to worry about. I don't know, but yep. So that's my story, and it's I try not to get emotional because I mean this happened 4 years ago, but still I try not to get emotional. So I um just wanted to share with you guys this story, and anyone who might be going through this, want to tell you that you're not alone. I've seen other videos, and the first thing that I could think about was how can they be telling this story without crying? Because you feel so small, and you feel hopeless, and you feel like your world is just crashing. But I hope that this story was something you guys can get something from, or that you guys can relate to. And thank you guys for watching.